Welcome to the Snapback Life podcast, where resilient women come to reclaim their power, heal from trauma, and step into their most authentic selves. I'm your host, Jacinth Dada, your snapback from trauma to triumph life coach. And I'm here to guide you on your journey to healing and empowerment. In each episode, we dive into personal growth, overcoming adversity, and building a life that reflects your true potential. Stick around until the end for some exciting resources and opportunities to further your journey. Let's snap back and thrive together. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, guys. I am a little late coming on. It is a great day. It is a great day. Just trying to get over this tiredness of mine. I am hoping that you are having a wonderful Friday. I'm just going to wait a few minutes, probably a minute or two, before and to allow other people to come on. Let me adjust this volume. Guys, I bought this microphone for my phone for when I'm doing lives or so, and procrastinating on putting it on. So hopefully soon. Yes. So I do hope that you're having a wonderful Friday. As you know, Friday, like I always say, is one of my favorite days, especially when I am off. And I just want to welcome each and every one to the Snapback Live Facebook Live with Jacinth. It is always a pleasure to come on. So I am excited to have you all join me, whether you're joining me live or whether you're joining from, you're going to be watching the replays. And today, ladies, we are going to tackle what I call the big P. Oh my God. It is the topic on procrastination. I don't know about you, but this is something that I have struggled with for a long time. And one of the things I noticed is that in the last 4 years or so, this has become really a struggle for me. And that is procrastination. One of my coaches on Successful Woman Academy, Valerie Burton, she always says that she is a recovering procrastinator. And I can say the same thing. I am working on it. I'm working on it. So whether it's, putting off that project or whatever you have that you're doing that you're constantly putting off, right? Personal goals, or even something as simple as household tasks, procrastinating sneaks into our lives in ways we don't even recognize, right? I'm going to adjust this. So while I was working on this, and listen, you're not going to believe this, but about 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago, it's probably more than that, I was really dealing with this, putting things off, procrastination. And it was so funny. I started to pray about it. This seems weird, but I started to pray about it. And the funny thing is that one morning, early morning, the Holy Spirit started to speak to me about this procrastination. I was able to write a whole chapter, which I've not published. I've not, it's in the archives of so many things that I've written. And the Holy Spirit started to download some reasons why I'm struggling, why I was struggling. Let me use that word, was struggling with this monster of procrastination, right? So at some point, I'm going to share that. And at some point, I'm going to write, have that published. But as I said, whether you're struggling with just the simple things of putting off things, it sneaks upon us. And, but today, ladies, we're going to change that, right? We're going to help each other to change that. And one of the things that I've noticed, and I have people in my life, I have mentors, coaches that I admire, that you notice when they set out to do something, right? They get on it. They do not delay. They just begin to execute. And I am always so, I always admire these types of women in my life, right? Because it helps me to be accountable also to the things that I have to do. So we're going to get into this together. I wrote a lot of notes and kind of extrapolate some of the things that I wrote years ago. So I want to share this with you, right? So I don't want to get off track because there's a lot of good, healthy things that I want to touch on. So whether it's putting off that project, you know what I'm saying? There's always a way for us to combat procrastination. So by the end, my objective is by the end of our discussion, I hope that you will feel empowered to reflect on your habits and to take action to break free from the cycle of delay or procrastination. So let's get started, right? So procrastination is something that most of us are all too familiar with, right? We simply put, it's the act of delaying tasks or decisions that need our attention in the moment. And the concept of procrastination is not something new. This word or this concept was first talked about in 1588. Can you believe that? This is when it was first noted. So it's not a new phenomenon. It's not a new issue, right? It is something that has been addressed in the 15th centuries. When I was doing this study a couple years ago, I was amazed that, I thought, my God, I'm the only one suffering with this thing, right? But no, we all at some points do. So you might think procrastination is just being lazy, but there is so much more to it. There are different types of procrastination. And there is a psychologist, Christina Rogers, that she points out about 4 types of procrastination. I might not get into all of that. There is one specific one that I want to address. And she talks about the perfectionist, right? The warrior and the dreamer and also the defiant, right? So these are 4 categories or 4 types, I should say, of procrastination. You might be that perfectionist that as soon as you have something to do, you're going to do it. And you have the perfectionists that procrastinate because they delay doing something, right? Especially as women, because we want to get it right, right? We put it off because there's a fear of being perfect. Then there's the warrior, right? Somebody that worries. I fell in this category at one time. I will not say I'm still in that category. And the warrior, what happens is that they delay because of anxiety and uncertainty about the outcome of whatever they're going to do, right? And the next is the dreamer, right? At some point, I believe we all fall in that category. The dreamer is the procrastinator who loves to think about ideas, but struggles to take action, right? You have that vision, you have that plan, but you fail to execute. You fail to take the action that is needed to do that, right? And let's be clear. I have struggled with that. And one of the reasons why for the past probably 10 years or so, and more so in the last 4 years, I am intentional about having coaches and mentors, because for me, that gives me the accountability. It gives me the push. It gives me what I need to move forward in accomplishing what I need to do. And I think a lot of us, right, as women fall in that category. So finally, we have the defiant one, right? And this is the person that procrastinate because they are resisting the task. They're resisting the deadline due to an aversion to authority or feeling forced to do something. And I mean, as women, especially as professional women, as entrepreneurs, as coaches, whatever we are doing in this season of our lives, my prayer is that we do not fall in this type of procrastination, right? While procrastination is common, it's important to recognize that if it becomes a habit, then it can hinder our success and our opportunities, right? When we procrastinate, right, you have an assignment, you have a project, you have an event that you want to initiate, whatever it is, you have a book that you're trying to write, a business that you're trying to start, whatever it is, right? When we procrastinate, right, it hinders our success. It hinders our ability to accomplish those amazing things that we have on our vision board, right? Or those amazing dreams that we have. And one of the things that I realize that procrastination robs me of is opportunities, right? It robs you of opportunities. And another thing that it does, procrastination is a stealer of time. And later on, I will talk a little bit about that. So what are some of the reasons why we procrastinate? According to the American Psychological Association, they cite this as, they have several reasons, right? They have studied this out, have done research, and have come up with, a plethora of reasons why as individuals we procrastinate. But I'm just going to touch on a few of them because I don't have the time to really go into all of them. But some of them, one of them so far that I relate to is anxiety or stress, right? Where we feel overwhelmed by a task, right? It is so much, it's so mammoth, or you have so much things on your to-do list. And then what happens now, you become anxious and the stress set in, and then you begin to move what needs to be done to the back burner, right? And begin to do other things that are not as important as what is needed to be done right now. Sometimes it's because we don't know how to do a thing, right? Sometimes, or even what to do in that moment. So we put it off, right? Last year or 2 years ago when I, when I decided I wanted to launch my business, my coaching business, speaking business and all that, I was in a mastermind with Rosetta Thurman. And I got in there and I was in the company of extraordinary women who had their business, women who were scaling their business. And I was like this little neophyte in this mastermind. And I found that there were so many things that I did not know how to do, right? And a lot of these women were so far ahead of me. But that was something that I realized I struggled because I just didn't know how to do a lot of the things as far as putting the business together and the technology and so forth. But God sent me an angel. Long story, maybe one day I'll talk about that. But there's also common belief that we work better under pressure. I don't know about you, but I do not work good under pressure, right? But if I have to, I will. And when we have this mindset, it leads us to delaying things until the last minute, One of the biggest reasons, though, is a lack of motivation. And this is a biggie, right? Because so oftentimes, the main reason I believe that we procrastinate is because of lack of motivation. And like I said earlier, that is something that sometimes I deal with. And we know that lack of motivation comes, it's a result of a lot of things like depression, irritability, or stress. Perhaps you have experienced or you're experiencing trauma, right? And it's affecting your level of energy, right? We can be experiencing changes in our lifestyle, whether it's a new job, a new project, a new family member, changes in your household, financial, relational. These are lifestyle changes that cause us to revert back to procrastination and even adjusting to new responsibility, starting a business, starting a coach, whatever it is. These are some of the things that can cause us to lack motivation, right? And in that moment, it also throws us off balance. Then there are physical and mental challenges that can make even the simplest task feel impossible. Understanding, ladies, these underlying factors is crucial in us addressing procrastination. Sometimes the issue is deeper than just putting things off, right? When procrastination becomes like a chronic issue, a lot of times research shows that sometimes there is a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. It's often tied to how we're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? So there are impacts to procrastination, and I want to talk a little bit about that. When we procrastinate, when we just delay tasks, when we steal time from ourselves, like I said earlier, right? We're actually stealing time from ourselves. Procrastination can derail our personal and professional success, like I said earlier. In fact, studies show that around 20% of men and women, but we're going to deal with us as women, right? Women are chronic procrastinators, right? And I want to pause here for a moment. I used to say I'm a procrastinator. But I've learned I do not I do not even want you to identify yourself as a procrastinator, right? We're not procrastinators. What we do is we procrastinate, but that is not our identity. And a lot of times when we get into that mindset and begin to identify ourselves as procrastinators, what happened? It becomes a common manifestation. We begin to do it very often. It becomes chronic. And then we have the excuse like, oh, I'm a procrastinator. But no, we do not want to identify ourselves as procrastinators. We procrastinate, but that's not what we are, right? The Bible says we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We're able to do difficult things, right? The scripture says, as it comes to me, it says, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And that is one of my scriptures. That is the scripture that I use on a regular basis when I want to just not do anything, when I have something to do and I don't have the energy or I just don't feel like doing it, right? That is my one of my scriptures that I stand on. Jacinth, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. And I'm saying that to you today, whatever it is that you are delaying to do that requires your attention now, that requires your attention tomorrow, right? You can do all things through Christ who gives you the empowerment, right? So procrastinators, right? Procrastinating, right? It is a struggle. It is a struggle for a lot of us. There is a Dr. Tobias Dang, who is a psychiatrist at this hospital in Seattle, Washington, Kaiser Prominente in Washington, in Seattle, Washington. And he points out, right, about chronic procrastination can be linked to deeper issues like depression and burnout. And the reason that this sits with me, and it's something that I am really, I feel strongly about, is because I've experienced a lot of this. And I understand what it means to be depressed. I understand what it means to burn out, right? I have experienced these two categories of emotions or issues, deeper issues, depression and burnout. So I know when you're in this, in depression, when you're in burnout, everything is delayed. Everything is put in a corner, in a neat box, and you turn your back to it because all you want to do is avoidance. You don't want to deal with all that. You just want to have a pity party and you just want to, just rest, right? So when we continually delay tasks, according to Dr. Tobias, it can lead to missed opportunities like we stated before. It can lead to increased stress. It can lead to decrease and loss of productivity, right? It's a vicious cycle that leaves us feeling unaccepted, unaccomplished, right? And drained, both emotionally and physically. So as we think about these types of procrastination and what are some of the things that causes us to procrastinate, how can we combat procrastination? How can we combat that? And I want you to take a few minutes and just a few seconds and just think about areas and things in your life that you're procrastinating about. And why do you think you're procrastinating? And not only that, what are some things that we can do to combat? What are some strategies, some keys? And at the end of this, I'm going to give you some action points that we can initiate like pronto now. So now that we understand why we procrastinate, right? Let's talk about how we can combat it. One of the first steps is to check in with yourself. And for me, this is paramount, right? Because a lot of times we're going through things. We're going through, stress, burnout. We're going through trauma. We're going through pain, changes, challenges. And we fail as women to slow down and check in with ourselves. We have the tendency to check in with others, to check in with our girlfriends, to check in with our children, to check in with our spouses, our families, right? To check in with our colleagues. But a lot of times we fail to check in with ourselves. So how do we do that? Ask yourself, how am I feeling? And a lot of times I feel that is so strange for a lot of us to ask yourself, how are you feeling? Sometimes what I do, I look in the mirror in the bathroom and I begin to talk to myself. How are you? Why are you feeling this way? How are you feeling? What is the cause? What do you think is happening right now? Right? Why are you anxious? Why are you stressed? Why are you procrastinating? Right? So we have to check in with ourselves. Ask yourself, ladies, how am I feeling? If you're exhausted or overwhelmed, it's important to recognize that before trying to push through, often taking a moment to rest and prioritize self-care. And if you know anything about Jacinth, I am a big proponent. I'm a big person on rest and self-care. And, the reason why I am passionate about rest and self-care is because I've experienced depression, I've experienced burnout, and not only that, I'll share a little secret with you, right? A moment of transparency. In my teenage, young adult life, right before university, going off to college, I suffered a mental breakdown and recovered from it. And how did I recover? I recovered because of prayers of my parents, my church family, and that wasn't enough. I got over it, went off to university at the age of 16. And my first semester at the University of Oral Roberts, I had another relapse. So my parents had to send for me. I mean, I went to the hospital, of course, and I won't get into the details of it, but one day I will talk about that, right? It's in the book. And suffered from a mental breakdown that I was hospitalized for a while. And the doctors, the psychiatrists, they told my parents that I would not be able to go back to school. I would not be able to accomplish my education. I would have to be on psychotherapeutic drugs for the rest of my life. And let me tell you, when God has a plan for your life, I'm getting a little teary because I didn't plan on saying this, but when God has a plan for your life, the enemy cannot take you out. And God healed me. When I left the hospital, ladies, I was never on medication. I've not taken a psychotherapeutic drugs since the ones they gave me in the hospital. Yes, I've battled with depression. I've battled with, keeping my mindset and so forth. But that is one of the reasons why I am passionate about women taking time to care for themselves, taking time to ask themselves the question, how am I feeling? Checking in with yourself, getting the rest that you need, caring for yourself. It is vital. It is vital. Okay? So a little caveat there for you, something you didn't know about me, but as you get to know me, you will hear a lot of my story. So, as I said, taking a moment to rest and prioritize self-care can make all the difference. Rest isn't just about sleep. It's about allowing your mind, your body, and your spirit to rejuvenate. Next, we need to talk about prioritizing tasks. Focus, ladies, on what needs to be done first. It is easy to get overwhelmed when a task feels mammoth, when it feels too big. So break it down into smaller, manageable steps. This is what I do at times, right? When I'm thinking something when I have a lot to do, right? I get into that pause moment and I begin to analyze and break down the task. What do I need to do first? And sometimes there are days, ladies, that I can only do one thing, right? Like today, maybe all I can do is this live and I'm done. Okay? And so you have to do that. You have to break your task, your responsibilities in manageable steps. This way you can tackle each piece without feeling, having that feeling that it's so daunting, but you're daunted by the whole thing, right? So let's also discuss the importance of letting go of unrealistic expectations. Oh my God. I believe as women, there's so much expectations, not only from the expectations that have been placed on us by family, by our jobs, our business, right? But expectations that we place on ourselves as women. If you are a perfectionist, right? This one's for you. I don't believe that I'm a perfectionist, but my children and my family believes I'm a perfectionist. I do not believe I am a perfectionist, but maybe I am, right? So if you're a perfectionist, this is for you. Sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to be perfect that we end up doing nothing at all. Let me pause. I might be a perfectionist, right? Okay, maybe some of you can relate to that. But remember, the goal isn't perfection. The goal, ladies, is progress. Progress. I often say that I strive for excellence instead of perfectionist, right? But I want you, if you don't go away with anything today, I want you to understand, and I want you to have this mindset that the goal in whatever you're doing, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. Release the need to do everything perfectly and instead focus on moving forward. Focus on moving forward. Finally, practice self-compassion. Listen, about a year ago, I learned this new concept, self-compassion, right? Having compassion on yourself. You know, because we always, when we talk about compassion, compassion is always an external thing. We have compassion to others, but a lot of times we do not have compassion on ourselves. So practice, ladies, self-compassion. And Kristen Neff, right? She is a PhD who pioneered, and I did a little study on some of the things that she talks about when it comes to self-care, self-compassion, I'm sorry, which is another aspect of self-care. She's the pioneer in the study of self-care, which it is defined as the ability to be present with your own pain, right? Your own feelings, your own thoughts. Feel connected to others who are also suffering, and also support ourselves through difficult moments. So the concept here of self-compassion is the ability to be present with your own pain. Because a lot of times when we're going through pain, challenges, trauma, whatever it is, right, we have a tendency to want to separate ourselves. We want to run away from it. But the concept of self-compassion is the ability to be present with our pain, to be present with what we're dealing with, right? Self-compassion is the ability, and listen to this, the ability, she says, to nurture yourself and accept yourself, flaws and all. And let me tell you, this is a game changer for me. And I'm praying that this is a game changer for you, right? Accept yourself with all your flaws. Nurture yourself. As women, we have the ability to nurture. That's how we're created. We're created to be nurturers, right? But how often do we nurture ourselves? How often do we hear the concept of nurturing ourselves, right? And when you learn to care for yourself, these are some of the things that you have to incorporate, right, in your own self-care maintenance. You have to nurture yourself. Take that bubble bath. Go for that walk. You know, get that rest. You know, get that massage. Whatever it is, have that quiet moment. Go for that walk. Whatever it is, right? Read that book. Put your feet up, listen to music, dance, laugh at yourself. These are ways that we can nurture ourselves as women, right? research shows that when we're kind to ourselves, it actually reduces stress and depression. It reduces stress and depression. That's why I'm an advocate of self-care, an advocate of self-compassion, an advocate of rest, right? Because it reduces stress and depression. And notice it says reduces because, ladies, while we are navigating life, while we are breathing, while we are accomplishing things, while we are living, there will always be stressors. There will always be something that shifts our emotions, our mood. But when we have the tools that we can implement in our lives on a regular basis, then we're able to live life in the way that we want to live life. You understand me? Like I tell people all the time, I do not look like what I have been through or what I'm going through. And I'm very intentional about not wearing what I'm going through or what I've been through, right? Because over the years, I have accumulated tools that will help me in whatever situation I'm in, whatever trauma, whatever stress, whatever challenge that I'm going through, whatever pain I am going through. And that is why, ladies, it is so important to invest in yourself. Invest in yourself with coaches, mentors, counsel, whatever you need to thrive, whatever you need to evolve and transform into that amazing woman, in that amazing individual that God has called you and designed you to be. Because he said we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We are made, created in the image of God. And think about it. We have his quality, we have his likeness, we're creative, we're beautiful, we're strong. So these are some of the things that the tools, the keys, the strategies that we have to put in our toolboxes, right? That will help us to have a different mindset, that no matter what life throws at us, right? We are able to combat procrastination. We're able to push through at times, right? And we know when to push, we know when to press, we know when to step back, we know when to rest, we know when to show ourselves self-compassion. Because when we're able to do this, then it eliminates our tendency to procrastinate, right? Be patient with yourself. Procrastination doesn't have to define you. Like I said earlier, right? I'm not defined by procrastination. I procrastinate at times, but that is not who I am. That is not who you are. You are not a procrastinator. You are one that sometimes procrastinate. And ladies, it doesn't matter how strong we are, how accomplished we are. We all at some point deal with delay, deal with procrastination. But as I said, when we have the tools, when we have the strategies, right, then we're able to combat the tendency to procrastinate. We're able to overcome, right? So be patient with yourself. It doesn't define you. And with self-compassion, you can take steps to overcome it. So what is the call to action, ladies? I want us to leave this live today having some action points, some to-dos that we can execute and begin to do it right now, today, right? Because guess what? All we need is to take one step in front of the others. So now I want to challenge you, right? I want to challenge you. What are 2 actions? And think about this. And listen, I don't mind. I would love for you to write in the chat your takeaways from this. and some of the things that you do to combat procrastination. I will not respond right now, but after the live, I usually go back and respond to the comments in the chat, right? Now that we have come to this point, right? The question is, what are 2 actions that I can take away to reduce procrastination? Maybe it's setting small, achievable goal for something you've been putting off, right? And I can be honest with you. I have a journal that I am working on. I've been working on this journal for probably 2 years. I'm halfway there. And I know that I need to finish it because it is something that I want to have done by the end of this year. So I am now intentional about setting incremental times just to work on this journal that I am, putting together for you ladies, right? So setting small achievable goals for something you've been putting off. Or perhaps it's scheduling time for rest, scheduling a little bit of time for self-care, allowing yourself to recharge so you can approach tasks with fresh energy. I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, when I'm fatigued, I cannot push through. Years ago when I was younger, I was able to, when I'm telling, I was like a bulldog. I was able to do and do and do and do. But listen, in the last 5 years or so, I find that I cannot push through like I normally do. So I have to be intentional about setting incremental times that I can do something. And listen, if I get one thing done that is on my to-do list, I celebrate my wins. And that's what I want you to do. Celebrate your wins, right? Because one of the things that I know that happens when we celebrate our wins is that it gives us motivation. It motivates us to continue, right? So take time out to recharge so that we can have energy for our tasks, right? Whatever it is, commit to doing something today that will help you take one step forward. And remember, while everyone procrastinates at times, not everyone is a procrastinator. Or maybe I should say nobody's a procrastinator, right? You can reclaim your time, your energy, and mindful actions and self-care. In conclusion, ladies, as we wrap up, I encourage you to apply these principles in your life on a daily. Overcoming procrastination is a journey. And believe me, I can attest to the journey, right? But with consistent action and a little patience, you got to be patient with yourself, right? You can regain control of your time. You can regain control of your productivity. You can increase your productivity, right? You can accomplish those things on your to-do list. You can't see my desk right now, but I have things that, I have to-do lists over here. I'll just show you. To-do list here. Over here. Another to-do list, and that's how I keep myself going, because for some of us, we have to write it down, right? But one of the things, when you have a to-do list, one of the things I want to caution you about is don't get overwhelmed and stressed when you're not able to accomplish everything on your to-do list for that day. Just prioritize. What is the most important thing? What is the deadline on this? And then just move as you go forward and take those moments of rest. Overcoming procrastination, as I said, is a journey, but with consistent action and being patient with yourself, we can overcome. And that's what I want to leave with you today, right? It's not about how quickly. My husband always say, it's not how quickly, but it's about how well we do what we are called to do and what we have on our to-do list to do. So thank you, ladies. I hope this session, this Facebook Live, the Snapback Life, Facebook Live with Jacinth, I pray and hope that you receive something from it. You receive at least one tool or one strategy that you can use to move you forward, to help you to combat this thing called procrastination. Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you have the power to create the change in your life that you seek, one small step at a time. This is what I call the snapback life, right? The ability to be resilient no matter what. You've got this, ladies. Keep moving forward and do not allow procrastination to steal your potential. Have a great day, and listen, drop me something in the chat. Drop me the takeaway. And also, one of the things I wanted to say, and I have not said that, if you are enjoying the Snapback Life Facebook Live, I encourage you to share it on your platform. Share it on your platform. Please share it with others, because just the way that you are being empowered and blessed from it, I'm sure that you have women, young girls in your sphere of influence that can benefit from these lives. Have a great day, ladies. And I want to say thank you so much, Patricia, Melissa, Miss Gillian, Sarah, and Denise, who stops by occasionally. She's my coach and my mentor. And listen, ladies, it's Friday, it's the weekend. In a few minutes, I'll be heading out of state. I am going to meet with my coach, my mentor. Guess what? Because I need to be coached and mentored to help me to move forward in the assignment and the calling of God on my life. I want you to have a great day. And if you have missed this live, I encourage you to watch the replay. Carol Griffith, thanks for stopping by. And this is one woman that is a coach that talks about rest, the importance of rest. And I just want you ladies to take time to rest and to take care of yourself. Have self-compassion. Remember that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great weekend and be blessed. See you next week, okay? Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in to the Snapback Live podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an opportunity to snap back and thrive with us. And if this message resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with your friends, your family, or anyone who could benefit from joining our powerful community of resilient women. I'm also accepting speaking engagements, so if you're looking for a dynamic keynote speaker for your next event, let's connect. You can find more details on my speaking, joining the Snapback community, and all things the Snapback Life at thesnapback.org. Again, at thesnapback.org. Until next time, remember, your comeback is always stronger than the setback.